If you've ever felt hungry, but still couldn't get yourself to eat, sometimes for hours, then this video is for you. Hi, I'm Dr. Jessica Bates. I'm a researcher in nutritional psychiatry, and my work focuses on how nutrition impacts mental health, particularly in autistic adults. In a previous video, I talked about why some autistic adults don't feel hunger. But in this video, we're talking about something different. When you do feel hungry, but eating still feels difficult. So we're going to talk about why this happens, what's going on in the brain, and how to make eating feel more manageable. So let's talk about the gap between hunger and action. One of the most important things to understand is this. Hunger does not automatically lead to action. There's actually a gap between feeling hungry, deciding to eat, and starting the process of eating. And for many autistic adults, that gap can be quite large. So you might notice that you're aware that you're hungry, you think, I should eat, but nothing happens. And that can feel confusing or even frustrating. But this isn't about laziness or a lack of motivation. It's about how the brain manages energy, attention, and task initiation. This is executive dysfunction in real time. Eating, even something simple, is actually a multi-step task. It often involves deciding what to eat, getting up, going to the kitchen, preparing food, and then eating. When you're already low on energy, which is often when hunger shows up, those steps can feel overwhelming. This is where executive functioning comes in. So executive functioning helps us start tasks, plan, organize, and follow through. And when that system is under strain, even small tasks can feel very hard to start. So you can be hungry, aware of it, and still unable to initiate eating. That's the gap in action. There are also other layers that can make this harder. For many autistic adults, food isn't just about hunger. It's also about the sensory experience. You might find that nothing feels appealing, textures feel wrong, smells feel overwhelming, or the right food just isn't available. At the same time, decision making can become difficult when energy is low. So you might think, what should I eat? And feel completely stuck. This can lead to a kind of shutdown or avoidance where you stay where you are, you don't start the task, and eating gets delayed even further, even though you are hungry. And this is where it becomes really important from a mental health perspective, because when you're hungry and you don't eat, your brain doesn't just wait patiently. Your body is still using energy, especially your brain. So over time, this can lead to drops in blood glucose, reduced cognitive function, increased irritability, anxiety, and emotional dysregulation. And here's the key part. These changes actually make it harder to eat. So you end up in a cycle. You're hungry, you don't eat, your mood and energy drop, your executive functioning gets worse, and eating becomes even harder to start. So importantly, eating regularly isn't just about nutrition. It directly supports brain function, emotional regulation, and overall mental well-being. Now, let's talk about some strategies that actually help. So instead of trying to fix motivation, it can be more helpful to reduce the gap. So we want to lower the first step because the hardest part is often just starting. So instead of thinking, I need to make a meal, try, I'll just take one bite of something. That might be a spoon of yogurt, a piece of toast, or a handful of something simple. Once you start, it often becomes easier to continue. Next, we want to create no decision foods. So having a few foods on hand that require no thinking, no preparation, and minimal effort. These become your default options when energy is low. The goal is to remove the decision barrier completely. Next, we want to reduce friction. So identify anything that makes eating harder and simplify it. For example, pre-prepared foods, easy to open packaging, or keeping foods within reach. Small changes can make a big difference. Lastly, we want to accept good enough eating. One of the biggest barriers is feeling like food needs to be balanced, healthy, or the right choice. But in these moments, eating something is always better than eating nothing. This shift can reduce pressure and make starting easier. If you've experienced this feeling hungry but unable to eat situation, it's not a personal failure. It's a reflection of how your brain processes energy, sensory input, and task initiation. Understanding this can help shift the focus from why can't I just do this to what support does my brain need in this moment. If this resonates with you, I'd love to hear your experiences in the comments. And if you found this helpful, you might also find my videos on forgetting to eat, executive dysfunction and food, and sensory eating helpful as well. And if you're interested in more evidence-based neuro-affirming approaches to nutrition and mental well-being, please consider subscribing. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.